The moment she walked into the cafe, it felt like someone slammed a heavy weight onto my chest. I couldn't catch my breath. I'd come for a blind date, ready to meet a total stranger. Instead, I was staring at the last person on earth I should have been matched with, my best friend's ex-wife. I'm Ben. 26. I do construction work in the suburbs outside Boulder, Colorado. Days are noisy, dust, rebar, power tools, long hours under the sun. I start before sunrise with a run through the cold spring air, the flatirons watching silently in the distance. Evenings are quiet, small apartment, fast dinners of ramen, eggs, or whatever I can throw together. Weekends might include a beer with a couple buddies or some pickup basketball, then the same loop repeats. There's a loneliness woven into that routine. The kind that creeps in when you're sitting alone and the silence presses too hard. A year earlier I'd ended a relationship that started in college. I fell deep, convinced it was the real thing. Then came the fights, the distance, the words you can't take back. After that I locked the door on dating, no apps, no introductions, no hope. So when Emma, the new hire at work, started pushing me to try a blind date, I should have said no flat out. Emma's all bright energy and blonde hair, the type who treats everyone like they've known her forever. She caught me at the end of a shift, grinning like she was about to hand me a prize. "Ben," she said, "let me set you up with someone fun. Worst case, it's free coffee and a good story." I brushed it off, told her blind dates weren't my thing. She didn't care. Something about her easy insistence, or maybe how empty my place felt that night, made me give in. I sent one warning text, "Okay, but no pranks." She flooded me with excited emojis and the name of a little vintage cafe on Pearl Street downtown. Sunday evening. Nothing fancy. Sunday came. I stood in front of my closet longer than I'll admit. Picked my cleanest blue button-down, drove downtown with both hands tight on the wheel, telling myself it was just coffee, 1 hour, no emotions. The cafe was warm and golden, exposed beams, soft hanging lights, the smell of fresh pastries, quiet jazz making everything move slower. I claimed a window table, ordered black coffee to settle my nerves, and waited. Every time the door chimed, my stomach flipped. Half of me hoped she'd flake so I could blame Emma and leave. The other half wanted to be caught off guard. Then the door chimed again. She stepped in like the space had been holding its breath for her. Late 30s, long brown hair falling loose, a soft beige sweater worn with this calm confidence that suddenly made the room feel smaller. Her eyes scanned the tables and stopped on me. I stopped breathing. I knew her. Lena. I'd seen her maybe 5 times years ago, Mark's wedding, a few backyard cookouts, random hangouts when we all still believed our futures were neatly drawn. Mark was my college roommate, shared dorms, cheap beer, big dumb plans. He married Lena right out of school, everyone said it was picture perfect. A few years later they split. No one talked about why. Mark clammed up. I got swallowed by work. Our friendship shrank to birthday texts and radio silence. Now Lena was standing at my table, wearing the same stunned expression I felt. "Ben," she said quietly. I laughed nervously and rubbed the back of my neck. "Yeah." "Lena." "World's tiny." She didn't run, that was surprise number 1. She pulled out the chair and sat slowly, like she was giving herself a moment to decide whether to stay. Her gaze held mine, cautious but steady. "You're the date?" she asked. "Looks that way," I said, still reeling. She let out a breath that was almost a laugh. "My coworker set this up too. Said it was someone kind, someone reliable." I blinked. Emma had said almost the exact same thing to me. Lena shook her head. "This is insane." "It really is," I agreed. "If you want to bail, I get it." Her mouth curved into a small, truthful smile, not happy, not upset, just honest. "I thought about it the second I saw you. But I'm here." "You're here. We can at least drink the coffee." That simple sentence eased something inside me. Not everything. Mark's name still blinked like an alarm, but Lena's tone was gentle. Her eyes carried no venom, only a quiet weariness, like she'd survived hard things and emerged softer instead of bitter. We ordered again, another black for me, a latte for her. The first few minutes felt fragile, like stepping around cracks in the sidewalk. We didn't say his name. Safe ground only. I talked about work, the school project, budget problems, delayed materials. She asked real questions, laughed when I told her how I nearly crushed my own foot with a beam. She described her job at the university library, running workshops, digging up obscure references for stressed students. The longer she spoke, the more I realized she wasn't the quiet shadow wife I vaguely remembered. She had dry, unexpected humor. She knew secret trails around Boulder I'd never heard of, and I suddenly wanted to hike every one just because of the way she painted them. At some point I caught myself leaning forward, actually listening like it mattered. Lena stirred her latte and looked at me over the rim. "Life likes to mess with you," she said. "You think you're past surprises, then it drops one like this." I nodded. "I almost didn't show." "Same," she said, and this time her smile felt warm, real. The lights dimmed as closing time approached. Outside, the street was dark, cool spring wind brushed the glass. I didn't want the night to end, and that scared me more than showing up in the first place. When we got up to leave, Lena paused by the door. She tucked hair behind her ear and studied my face like she was deciding something important. "This is weird," she said softly. "Yeah. But not awful weird." Her shoulders relaxed. She stepped closer. I caught the faint, clean scent of her perfume. Then she looked right at me and asked the question that made my pulse slam, "Do you want to keep seeing each other?" My mind blanked for a second. The words floated between us in the cool night air, quiet, straightforward, but they landed like a punch. Keep seeing each other. Like this was already real. Like she'd already chosen. I should have said no. Should have thought of Mark first. But the truth was, the moment she smiled at me across that table, something long asleep inside me stirred awake. "Yeah," I said, voice rougher than I meant. "I want to keep seeing you." Relief softened her shoulders. A small, genuine smile. "Okay. Good." We stood under the street lamp on the sidewalk, quiet, both feeling how heavy this choice was. Downtown smelled like rain and coffee grounds. The mountains stood dark against the sky. "I have to be honest," I said. "Mark and I aren't close anymore, but he used to be my best friend. This could turn messy." "I know," she replied. "I've thought about it too. I don't want to drag you into something awful, but I also don't want to walk away from something good just because it's complicated." That word, good, hit me square in the chest. The date had been good. Easy. I'd forgotten what easy even felt like. Lena fished her keys from her bag and took a small step back, giving me space. "Then let's do something normal next time," she said, trying to sound light. "A walk, maybe lunch, something that doesn't feel like a setup." I laughed, mostly relief. A walk sounds perfect. We picked Sunday morning at Chautauqua Park. When I got home my apartment felt sharper, too quiet again, but now I knew what it was like to sit across from someone who looked at me like I actually mattered. Emma texted right away, "How was it?" I stared at the screen forever. Thought about lying. Thought about calling to ask what she was playing at. Instead I sent, "You set me up with Lena." Long pause. Then, wait, which Lena? I almost launched my phone across the room. Emma was many things, a good liar wasn't one. I called her. She picked up on the second ring, voice bright. "Hey, Ben." "Emma," I said, forcing calm. "What the hell?" "I swear I didn't know," she rushed out. I knew her name, but I didn't connect her to Mark. I've never even met the guy. Then how? She works at the university library. My cousin's taking classes there. Lena helped him find sources. He said she was cool. I joked she should date someone nice, and he said I know a guy. I thought of you. My grip loosened a fraction. Wild, but not malicious. So you really didn't plan this? No. But now tell me, was it awful or amazing? I exhaled. It was good. She squealed like she'd won something. I knew it. Don't get excited, I warned. This is complicated. Okay, she said softer. I get it. Just be careful, Ben. You haven't smiled at work in forever. I notice. After we hung up, I sat on the couch staring at the wall. Careful. That word stuck with me all week. Work was the same, lifting, measuring, cursing delayed shipments, but every text from Lena felt like a small lamp switching on in a dark room. Sunday morning arrived fast. Clear sky, sharp spring air that made every breath feel clean. Chautauqua Park was alive with hikers and dogs, but the second I saw Lena by the trailhead, the rest blurred out. Sneakers, jeans, light jacket, hair in a loose ponytail, cheeks pink from the cold. She looked completely at ease, like she wasn't performing for anyone. You came, she said, smiling. I said I would, I answered. And I actually meant it. We started walking. The trail curved through meadows with the flatirons rising ahead like stone giants. Wildflowers everywhere, pine scent on the breeze. At first we kept hands in pockets, like neither wanted to cross an invisible line, but the conversation picked up right where the cafe left off. She asked about the job, I told her about the gym roof falling behind schedule, the stressed foreman. She listened like my small world mattered. I asked about her work, her face lit up describing late-night students panicking over papers and how she stayed to help them find what they needed. That's kind, I said. She shrugged. No one was kind to me when I felt lost. I don't want anyone else to feel that way. The sentence hung there. It sounded like someone who'd carried more than she ever let show. We reached a lookout bench facing the valley. Sun warmed the rocks, grass glowed gold below. Lena's voice dropped. Can I ask you something, Ben? Of course. Are you afraid I'll hurt you? My throat tightened. I looked out at the view, then at her. Her eyes were steady but held a flicker of old fear. I'm afraid of a lot, I admitted. But with you I don't feel like I'm bracing for the next argument. I feel calm. And that scares me because I forgot calm was possible. Lena swallowed. Mark used to say calm was just another word for boring. Like peace was a problem to fix. My jaw clenched before I could hide it. She watched me carefully. I'm not asking you to pick sides, she said. I'm just saying I'm not who I was back then. I spent years trying to be what someone else wanted. I won't do that again. I nodded slowly. Me neither. Wind blew a strand of hair across her face. Without thinking, I reached over and tucked it behind her ear. My fingers lingered a second too long. She didn't pull away. She leaned in, like she'd been waiting for the touch. That was when I knew we were already too far in to pretend otherwise. As we headed back to the parking lot, my phone buzzed. I ignored it until it buzzed again, insistent. I pulled it out. Mark calling. My stomach dropped. Lena saw my face change. What is it? It's Mark, I said quietly. The phone kept ringing like a warning I couldn't ignore. Mark's name on the screen felt like a hand around my throat. The phone rang in my palm while Lena watched me, calm on the surface but eyes sharp, as if she already knew this was the moment everything could shift. I let it go to voicemail. I couldn't answer with her standing right there, not without lying to him or hurting her, and I wasn't ready for either. Lena didn't push. She just nodded once, like she understood the weight without words. We walked the rest of the way in heavier silence, the mountains behind us, the valley stretching out, but the air felt thicker now. You don't have to face this by yourself, she said gently. I know, I replied, though my chest still felt squeezed. I just need a minute to figure out how to handle it right. She stopped by her car and held my gaze for a long beat. Whatever happens, I don't want secrets between us, she said. I've lived in too much silence already. I can't go back. I swallowed and nodded. No secrets. She reached out, squeezed my hand, warm, steady. Text me after you talk to him. I will. I watched her drive away, then sat in my truck gripping the wheel, staring straight ahead like I could force my thoughts into line. A few minutes later the phone buzzed again. Text from Mark, call me back. Now. My stomach sank lower. I drove home on autopilot, roads familiar, mountains fading in the mirrors, mind replaying college nights when Mark was the guy I could call at 2 a.m. and he'd show up. We weren't close anymore, but that history still carried weight. At home I paced like a caged animal. Finally I hit call. Mark picked up instantly. So you're alive, he said, voice tight, no humor. Yeah. I saw your call earlier. Saw it or ignored it, he snapped. Ignored it. I was busy. He gave a short, bitter laugh. Busy doing what, Ben? Hiking with my ex-wife. The words landed hard. My mouth went dry. How do you know that? Boulder's small. Friends talk. Someone saw you at Chautauqua. Then it clicked, you live here now. I closed my eyes. Of course. Nothing stays hidden here long. Mark, I was going to tell you after you slept with her? After you played house? After you decided my life was open season? That's not what this is, I said, forcing steady. It was a blind date. I didn't know until I got there. Silence, then colder, and you stayed. Yes. I did. He breathed hard into the phone. You have no idea what you're stepping into. Then tell me what I'm missing. Another bitter laugh. She's good at seeming sweet and calm. Makes you feel like the hero, like you're saving her. Then one day you wake up and you're the bad guy in your own story. My grip tightened. That's your version. I'm not calling you a liar, but I'm not judging her on your anger alone. Quiet for a beat. Then lower, you were my friend. I was. Still am, in a way. Then meet me. Tomorrow, 8 p.m., the old place on Arapaho. I want to look you in the eye when you explain why you think this is okay. My gut twisted, but running would make it worse. Fine. I'll be there. When the call ended, the apartment felt suffocatingly quiet. I stared at my phone, then did what I promised. Texted Lena, he knows. We need to talk. She replied almost instantly, come over. Her place was near campus, cozy, warm, books everywhere, small pieces of art on the walls. She opened the door looking braced for bad news but not crumbling. She stepped aside and let me in. He knows, I said as the door clicked shut. She nodded slowly. I figured he'd find out eventually. He wants to meet. Tomorrow night. Her face tightened for a second, then steadied. And you're going? I have to. I don't want to hide. I don't want to be the guy sneaking around. She walked to the kitchen, poured 2 glasses of water like she needed something to do with her hands, then leaned against the counter. Ben, she said softly, are you sure you want this? Not just me, all of it. I stepped closer. I don't know what happens tomorrow. But I know what I feel when I'm with you. It's real. It's safe. I haven't felt that in years. Her eyes softened, a flicker of hope breaking through. I didn't set out to hurt anyone, she said. I left that marriage because I was disappearing. I won't disappear again. You won't, I told her. The space between us closed without plan. I reached for her hand, she laced her fingers through mine like it was the most natural thing. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. Then she looked up and I kissed her, slow, careful, like we were both asking permission without words. Her hand slid to my chest, my heart hammered so hard I was sure she could feel it. When we pulled apart, she rested her forehead against mine. No secrets, she whispered again, like a reminder for both of us. No secrets, I echoed. The next day at work I couldn't focus. Body on sight, mind stuck on the coming conversation. Every hammer strike felt too loud, every pause too long. Shift over, I went straight to the bar on Arapaho. Mark was already in a booth, looking the same but harder, edges worn sharp by time. I slid in across from him. Neither spoke for a few seconds. Then he leaned forward. Say it. I met his eyes. I went on a blind date. It was Lena. I didn't know ahead of time. We talked. We clicked. We kept talking. That's the truth. His jaw clenched. And you think clicking makes it okay? I think two adults can choose each other, even if the past makes it uncomfortable. He shook his head like I was a stranger. You're doing this to me. I'm not. Your marriage ended years ago. You have your own life now. His eyes flashed. You have no clue what that divorce did to me. I'm sorry, I said, meaning it. But I can't live my life based on your pain. Mark's hands tightened around his glass. If you keep seeing her, don't expect me to stay in your life. Don't expect me to smile and act like this is fine. The words hit like a door slamming shut. I felt the loss before it even landed. I'm not asking you to like it, I said. I'm telling you I'm not backing down. He stared, breathing hard. Then he stood so fast the booth rattled. Then you made your choice. He tossed cash on the table and walked out. I sat there alone, throat burning, chest tight. I'd gone in hoping to save something, it felt like I'd just buried it. I drove straight to Lena's. Hand shaking on the wheel, not from fear, but from the sheer weight of it all. She opened the door, saw my face, and pulled me inside without a word. He cut me off, I said quietly. Her eyes filled but didn't spill. She held my hands tighter. I'm sorry. I never wanted to take anything from you. You didn't take it. He chose to walk away. We stood in her living room, close enough to feel each other breathing, and I thought maybe we'd be okay despite the fallout. Then 3 sharp knocks at the door. Lena froze, fingers locking around mine. We both looked toward it at the same instant. A low, familiar voice came through, Lena. Open up. Mark. The knock echoed like thunder. Lena's body went rigid. My heart pounded loud enough I thought he could hear it through the wood. Lena, he said again, sharper. I stepped in front of her on instinct, not bravado, just protection. She whispered, Ben, I need to handle this. I looked back. Her eyes were wet but resolute. This wasn't fear of a stranger, it was fear of slipping back into the old version of herself that shrank and stayed silent. I'm here, I said. Whatever you decide, I'm here. She nodded, walked to the door, and opened it. Mark stood there, jaw set, shoulders squared like he was ready for war. His eyes flicked to me and the anger flared hotter. So it's true. You're really here. Lena's voice stayed level, though strained. Mark, you can't just show up like this. He laughed once, bitter. I can't show up at my ex-wife's place, but my friend can. I'm not your friend anymore, I said before I could stop myself. His gaze snapped to mine. You don't get to decide that. I think I do. You walked out on me last night. You made it clear. Lena raised a hand slightly, not to silence me, but to call for air. Mark, she said, firmer now, why are you here? He looked at her and for a split second the anger cracked into something raw, hurt. Then it hardened again. Because this is wrong. Because it's disrespectful. Lena exhaled slowly, choosing words with care. You don't get to lecture me about respect. Mark flinched like she'd struck him. He stepped forward, I tensed, but Lena held her ground. You told everyone we grew apart. You told people I shut down. You left out the part where you were never really there. His face flushed. That's not fair. It's honest, she said. You want to act wounded because Ben's here. But you were fine moving on. You were fine with a new girlfriend. You were fine while I was eating alone and learning how to breathe again. Mark's mouth opened, closed, fists curled at his sides. I glanced at Lena, surprised, impressed. I'd seen her gentle. I hadn't seen this strength, and it made me respect her even more. Mark shook his head. So what now? You two play happy couple and pretend the past doesn't exist. The past matters, I said. But it doesn't own us. His eyes narrowed. You think you know her? I'm getting to know her. And I know enough to see she's not the villain in your story. She's a person. Lena's voice softened but stayed firm. Mark, this is my home. You can't come here and make demands. He stared at her, breathing hard, like he was deciding whether to push harder or fold. Then his gaze shifted to me. You're throwing away years for this. You'll regret it. I swallowed, throat tight, but the answer was clear. Maybe I will. But I'd regret walking away from something real because you're angry even more. Mark looked at me like I was unrecognizable. You were supposed to have my back. I did, when we were actually friends. You don't get to claim me now just to control what I do. That word, control, landed heavy. Mark's face twitched like it struck bone. Lena stepped closer to the doorway. Mark, she said, you need to leave. Tonight. He stared at her for a long moment. His eyes looked suddenly tired, older. Then a short nod, pride swallowed. Fine. He glanced at me one last time, anger mixed with something almost sad. I hope she's worth it. Lena didn't flinch. I hope you find peace, she said quietly. Mark turned and walked down the hall without another word. The door closed. The apartment went silent so fast my ears rang. Lena stood facing it, body still braced. Then she sank onto the couch and covered her face with her hands. I sat beside her instantly. Hey! Look at me! She didn't right away. Shoulders shook, but she fought the tears like it was habit. When she finally met my eyes, they were glossy. I hate that this is hurting you, she whispered. I hate that it's touching your life. It hurts, I admitted, but not because of you. It hurts because he's making it about ownership instead of letting us live. Lena wiped her cheeks and stared at her lap. I spent years feeling like I had to earn space. Like I had to be perfect to deserve love. Tonight, when he showed up, part of me wanted to shrink again. I took her hand, held it tight. But you didn't. You stood up. You were honest. You were brave. Her lips trembled. I was terrified. Brave people usually are, I said. She leaned into me then, head on my shoulder. I wrapped an arm around her, her breathing slowly evened out. After a while she pulled back, searching my face. Are you sure? About us? I didn't hesitate. Yes. She swallowed. Even if it costs you him. I held her gaze. If he walks away because I'm trying to be happy, then he left a long time ago. He just didn't say it until now. Lena stared for a second. Then her face softened into the smallest smile. I don't want to hide, she said. I don't want to feel like we're doing something wrong. Then we won't, I replied. We'll be open. We'll be steady. We'll do this right. She nodded like the words were sinking into old wounds. Then she reached up and touched my cheek, gentle, like confirming I was real. Do you still want to keep dating? She asked, voice carrying that same quiet courage from the cafe, but deeper now. I smiled, surprised how easy it felt. Yeah. I do. I want to keep choosing you. Lena exhaled like relief itself. Then she leaned in and kissed me, slow, warm, a promise we didn't need to voice. Over the next few weeks we stopped tiptoeing. We went out in public without glancing over our shoulders. We returned to that Pearl Street cafe, sat at the same window table, laughed at how impossible it all started. We walked along Boulder Creek for hours. We cooked dinners together, made messes in the kitchen, built small routines that felt like home. One Saturday I showed up at the community center where Lena had started teaching an art class for kids. Paint everywhere, bright paper, chaos in the best way. She stood in the middle of it like she belonged. When she saw me in the doorway, her whole face lit up. After class she came over, wiping paint from her hands. "You came." "I told you I would," I said. We both laughed, it had become our thing. I helped carry boxes to her car. Fixed a wobbly shelf in the supply room. I did what I do best, not because she needed rescuing, but because building is how I show care. Lena never asked me to be perfect. She just let me be there. One warm summer evening we sat on my tiny balcony, mountains dark in the distance. She had her sketchbook open, drawing the outline of the Flatirons under fading light. I watched her for a long time, the quiet focus on her face, the peace that had settled in her now. She caught me staring. "What?" she asked, smiling. I rubbed my neck, feeling that old nervous flutter. I was thinking, my place used to feel like a temporary stop. Somewhere to crash before the next thing. Lena's eyes softened. "And now?" "Now it feels like somewhere I want to come back to," I said. "Because you're in it." She reached over, rested my hand on her knee. "I never thought I'd get another shot at something simple and good." "Me neither," I admitted. "But I'm glad we got tricked into it." She laughed, then leaned her head on my shoulder. The night air was soft, and for once the quiet didn't feel empty. It felt full. My phone buzzed later. Text from Mark. I stared at it a long time before opening. I don't know how to feel about all this. I'm still mad. But I shouldn't have shown up like that. I'm sorry for that part. I didn't reply right away. I didn't need to. Not yet. My life wasn't about fixing him anymore. It was about building something honest with Lena. She noticed my expression, squeezed my hand. "Everything okay?" I looked at her and smiled. "Yeah. Everything's okay." Lena's fingers tightened around mine. She whispered, "So we're really doing this?" I kissed the top of her head. "We're really doing this." And for the first time in a long time, I believed it with everything I had.